Namaste. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana. I'm just leaping through a bunch of cards. I'm in the process of planning a series of shorts on YouTube and just having some thoughts about what I'm going to do to plan long term for that. Okay, so today, this is thoughts, reflections on the Superlunaris Tarot, which is a deck that I was not going to buy. I'm not a tremendous fan of photorealism, nor I have enough collage decks in my collection. However, this deck came up again and again and again. Several of you had done readings either in class or I have seen you share it on YouTube, and I just had to get this deck in my hand because too many times I've seen a card or I've seen a reading and I thought, wow, there's something about this deck. So I have received it, and I did not purchase the linen version. I have purchased it's the second edition. It has gilded edges, and we'll look at all the details in a little bit. But so yeah, so today our chat is about the Superlunaris. And my name, as I said, is Sadhana. I'm an intuitive reader and healer, and I want to welcome you to my channel. If this is your first time here, if what I say resonates with you, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know if there's any particular content that is missing from the channel and you would like to see. This is a deck that it's from the US. It came out, I believe it came out before the Kickstarter, and then there was the Kickstarter. I was trying to do a little bit of research. So if you go back to the very, very excellent blog that is listed in the description box below, you can track the history of this deck. It is created by a couple whose names are also in the description box below. I know her name is Jess. Let me go to that right now, just so I can say their names out loud. They look like a really beautiful couple. I would love to meet them. I think they have been interviewed on somebody's channel. Jacob and Jess. Jacob Schaefer and Jess Schuler. And sorry if that's not the correct pronunciation. And I want to say welcome. Welcome to Gerald. Gerald has both editions of the Superlunaris. And Jeffrey enjoys it. So Jeffrey is Gerald's partner, soon to be husband, I believe. And Tammy and oh, this is Michelle Lynn. We are spending the evening together. That's awesome. So the Tarot twins are together. I love it. Love it. Love it. Welcome. Hello, Helen. And hi, Donna. So yeah, so this this is a low buy year for me, and I've been resisting purchasing more decks. But I thought I would share this. I think I will come back on next week and do a side-by-side with one or two other collage decks in my collection. And tonight, my intention is to do a reading for either one of you or for the collective at the end. And I've chosen an oracle deck that I think will match this beautifully. Hi, Amy. Welcome. Donna says, love this deck. It's a real go-to reader for me and clients. Well, I will use it on Tuesday for live readings, and I will definitely take it to the store tomorrow, and I will do some readings with it, and we'll see how it goes for me. Welcome, Anne. Hello. Another favorite. Okay, so another vote for Anne. So let's go through the cards, and I'll make some comments, initial impressions. The aces, of course, are very RW-esque. And, you know, there's something in that Two of Wands card that reminds me of another deck. And it may be the Fool card in the John Bauer Tarot. I'm not sure. I really like it. There is a sense of fresh air. Excuse me. One of the things that I'm just looking at this now, and I know this happens with a collage deck. So there is not a color theme that runs through each of the suits. So that's something that is different with other decks. And so let's just take this for what, let's just talk about it as it is presented. The Two of Cups card. I think this is really beautiful, and I see this almost as if this is a reflection that one is looking into the mirror. And I know this could be two people, two lovers looking at each other, but the whole idea of reflection seems very poignant to me. And when I first saw this card, I thought it was the Two of Swords. There was something about looking into one's own mind that felt very powerful here. Many of these cards have been discussed in the blog that is listed below. And so I highly recommend, if there's a card here that just doesn't make sense to you, to go back and research through that, because there's some amazing descriptions there. I love the variety of ages, races, body sizes, abilities. It's done very well there. The colors are absolutely brilliant. I love the facial expression of the man in the Two of Pentacles. They have stuck very closely to themes, backgrounds, and so forth for the from Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork. So it's very easy to know what card you are looking at. Welcome, Sunny. Lovely to have you here. So I want to say this is the first very unique card in the deck. I love the Three of Cups. It's just so much fun, and I want to join those gals in the water. Very comfortable there. The Three of Swords, very poignant. There's something about that red light that is coming down over the head that is, I think it's going to inspire some very potent conversation in readings. The fact that she is blindfolded. So this is one of the things I love to do in working with a deck, is to connect cards. And so there is going to be some sort of story, you know, if the Two of Swords showed up as well too in a reading, or if there are other cards where there are blindfolds. And it almost appears like it's kind of creepy what's going on with the hands here. Like to me, it looks like, what do you call it? Necrosis. It's quite challenging to look at. We also have a splash of gold paint here. I mean, I haven't not worked with these cards yet. These are initial impressions. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this. Something about this particular card, so this is the Three of Pentacles, looks a bit like a Hierophant card to me, as if the woman who is on the ladder is over or above the other two. And just the way that everyone is dressed, the fact that the figure in red is looking into a book, it's really interesting. The way that just the layers are built. And I decided to look at these across the numbers. I think it's an interesting way to compare and contrast cards. Yeah. So overall, it's really beautiful, and I love the brilliance of colors. And I suppose one thing I do wish was there is a little bit of theme, color orientation among the suits. I think that would make it more cohesive, I suppose, because it's yeah, and the blending of art is really beautiful. There are many. I think perhaps this card could get, obviously it's swords. I suppose not. I was going to say with the stained glass window, maybe a Five of Pentacles. We'll look at it with the Five of Pentacles. There are many Four of Pentacles cards. that have done this a little bit differently. And I don't know. I know this is very traditional image. It's hard for me sometimes when the whole miser thing just feels like the predominant theme in the card. Okay, so let's look at the stained glass, the 2 stained glass cards. And this could be really something amazing that we could do in a reading, is to find a story that brings these 2 stained glass windows together, should they appear, in a reading together. These are things that I look for, I like. This, I'm sighing. There's some really beautiful cards here. I love, my initial impression of the deck is great, great, great. But the reason I'm sighing is because this particular card feels like the Game of Thrones. And here, I just feel like I'm in a completely different place. And so what's going on in this deck is we hop between a lot of different settings and scenes. And so that may or may not throw you off in a reading. That 5 of Cups feels like a classic art piece, and I could see this sort of feeling and mood in maybe Melissa Wotherspoon's Lonely Dreamer tarot. Like this is very, very, very poignant, right? And then we see it, rather than confrontation, I feel the athleticism in that card. I love that the genders, the traditional genders that are displayed in a deck, in a particular card, are switched up. That always, it's great. It's great to see that. And the perspective in the 6 of Swords, so the boat moving towards rather than away from. We see traditional imagery in that the swords are in the boat. None of the swords have been left behind, which is something that I find really interesting when a deck creator does that. Yeah. And if there are any particular, I feel like I've missed something here. 6 of Pentacles. That was the 6 of Pentacles. Sorry, I think I turned that over too quickly. Anyway, let's go on to the 7s. I quite like this guy in the 7. And again, so here's another example. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we tend to see a lot of women in the 7 of Wands. So it's nice to have that switched up. Love the pose. There seems to be, maybe there's quite an athletic vibe in the Wands as well too. So I'll have to go through and check that. And the scenery in the 7 of Cups is really beautiful. And we have kind of a different take on what is in each of some of them are familiar, but they're not all. So I like that. And this is different, hey? With the reflection, there's a pause, looking back. This reminds me a little bit of the Knight of Cups in the Slow Tarot. There's a pause for reflection. So I will have to keep, looking at the deck, but facings are an important part of reading for me, and looking at whether figures are moving towards, away from, looking, whether they're face on or not, always adds a layer to the story. Interesting choice of a bird. in the Nine of Pentacles. The fact that there's an owl there. I haven't noticed other owls, other birds in the deck yet. And then the rainbow, the use of the rainbow in the Nine of Swords is very interesting. So this kind of takes me to the paint, the stripes of paint in the Three of Swords. I went through the deck really quickly, but these are truly first reflections here. Oh, and Amy's made a suggestion here. So she says, Amy says, I love this deck. The non-linen version. This is the non-linen version too. It arrived the same day as the Shimmering Veil Tarot, plus multidimensional devas, and they immediately wanted to play. Yeah, isn't that fun? Because I think, Amy, I bet there was a particular mood or a message or something that that you needed, and those decks are offering that to you. Okay. Quite like the Ten of Wands. And I don't want to knock any particular cards, but I have to say that the cards that do things a little bit different are definitely the cards that are speaking to me. So this is very straight up for the most part, RWS, which makes it very easy to read if you are familiar with that system. I wonder why the Page of Pentacles is so dark. And so another thing too in studying this deck is to look at seasonal references. Page of Cups. I'm looking at her bun and I understand her challenges with life. That's hilarious. There is a word in the description. I'm just going to go to his name again. It's really interesting. One of the creators, so the man, Jacob. I believe Jacob is described as well, the first part of the word is pyro. So he somehow, and there's some live animation in the blog as well too. And so if you look at the live animation, he uses fire. And there probably are other cards as well too, where he's played with the graphics of fire, and it's really something. The colors, the vivid colors, are really beautiful. I think they've done a great job with facial expressions, and the facial expressions don't appear ingenuine at all. Like fake smiles and so forth. I love that the Knight of Wands is going, right? Can you hear? I can hear. And the air that is in the Knight of Swords it's great. Very well done. And you can tell that the creators know something about the tarot, that they worked with the tarot. I don't know their history. I have not seen them interviewed. I don't know if anybody has had them on for an interview. And you can tell there's been a tremendous amount of thought put into working with different races, different cultures. I haven't noticed the range of age in the cards, so I'll have to go back and look at that as well too. Helen says, a lot of beautiful skies. Yes. And so this deck is called the Superlunaris. And if we look at the etymology, so super means above and lunar means moon, right? So this is has an otherworldly connotation. So there's something about the connection with the cosmos that feels important to this. The butterflies. This is a very interesting Queen of Swords card. The reverence here, the offering feels really powerful in that Queen of Cups. And then here's your Kings. They all have crowns. They're all holding their elements. Okay, so let's have a look at the major arcana. And I do have the extra cards, so I can show you the extra cards. The colors are really beautiful. The attire does not the attire does not entirely fit going off on an adventure, but that's okay. This is brilliant. I love the facial expression, the fact that the magician is in the wilderness. That's a really beautiful card, and the contrast between the high priestess and the magician is quite brilliant. Let me even these out a little bit here. Let's do that. So the high priestess and the Queen of Cups are of a similar, don't know if they're from the same nation, but they're of a similar culture. And that's very interesting in that if we're connecting the element of water. And I don't know if that is intentional or not. So the Empress card, there's two options for the Empress card. I love the colors in this one, but I suppose I know there's many readers out there who prefer not to have a pregnant Empress, and this is the alternate Empress card. And I'm not going to keep both in the deck. I know that's one suggestion from the creators, but for me, they're both equally beautiful. There's something about the colors in the one on the right, and I'm really curious which Empress card you have kept in the deck that you are working with. So those of you that have had the deck for a while and are already reading with it, which Empress card do you prefer? And the crown. So the crown that is in the card on the left, it almost appears to me as if those are bees, and there is a connection between bees and fertility. And so there's something to me very intriguing about the crown, the stars over the Empress's head here. And I know we see them here. I believe, yes, there's a crown of flowers, headdress of sorts in this one as well too. All right, so Sunny chose the more colorful, but may switch for the fall and winter. Yeah, so let us know. So those are the two. I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to leave the colorful one in. And then the Emperor. So I don't live in the United States. I live in Canada. So I'm going to choose the alternate Emperor. The first Emperor card has a U.S. flag, and I'm not sure what the flag is on the left. So I'll be working with this card here. And it's interesting because it's not just the curtains that are different, but the window is wide open here, and we see the city in the background. And there's almost like a winter scene in this card, which is interesting for an Aries card. Right? This is the element of fire. I think this is the card that sold me on this deck. I have seen it a few times on people's channels, and I have been here. I have seen this many times in real life, and I just have a special place for these sadhus who live out in the middle of nowhere with nothing, and it's definitely a personal connection to the Hierophant card. Oh, Donna doesn't have the alternate cards. Okay. I think maybe they have to be ordered. I ordered them, I requested them when I purchased the deck. So here is the Lover's card. We see a snake, a lotus, I believe, connecting two hands. Really interesting take on this card. The black is on the right and the white is on the left. So these creators are reading from from the face up perspective. So black is left, white is right. And it'd be interesting to see. So in the High Priestess, let's go back and see what's going on here. No. So in the High Priestess, they've got the black on the right and the white on the left. Okay. All right. Chariot. I might have difficulty with this card because I feel like the charioteer is moving from somewhere to something. So in this case, the charioteer, I would say, has emerged from some troubles, from the water. So the charioteer has emerged from an awareness of a particular pattern or a karma or something, right? So the ocean representing unconscious to the land in a gesture that I think that was the same gesture in the six of wands. Black dog is on our left, white dog is on the right. So that's the same as the High Priestess. Easy to connect this card with Cancer, having the water in the background. So that definitely works. Very familiar looking Strength card. And the Hermit. Interesting contrast with the Hierophant card. And these are two cards I could talk about at length. So, what is my silence saying? What is my silence saying? Yeah, not my favorite cards in the deck. And if you love these cards, I'm sorry. Now, the Death card is very interesting. There is an animation of the Death card in the blog, which is really cool. So this could be quite a powerful card, looking at the whole question of, what happens when one's soul leaves one's body. Transformation, and with the power of the fire, the light. Yeah, major transformation card. And if you look at the feet of the angel in the Temperance card, it's interesting. Like the feet are just poised on the rock there. It's almost like the angels come down to land. They haven't landed yet. The angels just descended, and the feet are just about to land on the earth because there's no way they're standing, right? It's an interesting pose. Devil. We see the contrast of the dark and the light, but what is reversed here is that the white is coming up from the water and the black is above. So the black has already emerged. And so this isn't this I could definitely work with this card. I quite like, so the Two of Cups, the Lovers, these cards that show contrast. I think I'll very easily be able to work with them. Tower. It's quite beautiful. The Star card, the way that we see the waterfalls here, the mountain. And it's almost as if we're in this plane, this space between worlds in the backdrop of this card. Moon and sun. So instead of a horse, we have a yellow, looks like a yellow lab. The baby on the yellow lab moving towards us. Very traditional moon card. Quite like the Judgment card. And then there is the World. So we see the mandorla, and in the corners, we saw this on the World too. Let's just grab the World card and compare these two. Okay, so we see the symbols in the same place. And this is interesting. There's a hand here. So that hand really intrigues me. You know, like we have a hand in how the wheel turns. What's your take on that hand? Let's go to there is a little, if you don't know, there's a little folder that goes with this, but there's also quite a bit of extra language to many of these cards in the blog that I mentioned, as well as there are free downloads on the website for the deck. So the wheel. Let's see if they mention the hand. Fate, karma, life cycles, destiny, a turning point, change, good luck, learning how to let go and let life guide you rather than feel like you have to be in control. Okay, so those are the cards. The card stock is absolutely beautiful. It's one of those decks that has that swooshy sound. Swishy sound. All right, so I will take a moment to turn the cards right way up. Those ones will be right way up. And what I would like to do, I'm going to do a couple of 3-card readings. So if you would like to go ahead and put a question into the chat, we'll do 2 3-card readings once I give the deck a good shuffle, because it's one of the best ways, right, to see how the deck to see how the deck reads. And if any of the cards are upside down, it is unintentional. I really like this Five of Cups card. It feels very powerful to me. And I love that Game of Thrones card. That's amazing. Okay. So I will show you Easy Riffle Shuffle. I don't know if you can see the color. It's kind of a rose gold edge. Their corners are rounded nicely. It feels easy, easy to shuffle. The GSM is perfect. They're not too thick. Very, very happy that they riffle shuffle. I can feel the edging on my fingers. Decks that have these gilded edges tend to take some time to break in. Okay, so I want to acknowledge that this is the 15th day of September 2022. The sun is in Virgo. The moon is in Pisces. No, Gemini. The moon is in Gemini. I went into Gemini this afternoon, from Taurus into Gemini. The moon is waning. So we're working towards the equinox. When is the equinox? I think I'll be focusing on that in my readings on Tuesday. That's kind of perfect timing. All right, so just acknowledging all those things. I've been really paying much more attention to what's going on in the universe. Okay, so you guys you're quiet. Nobody has a question? All right, so we'll do a reading for the to the deck. I'm going to do an inquiry to the deck. All right, so in what way? What is the greatest strength? What is the greatest strength of this deck? And when I say that, this is in my relationship and working with the deck. This may give me information on what sorts of clients or what sorts of questions. Where does this deck shine? And I don't tend to do an interview spread. Sometimes I do, and there's some great ones out there, but let's just focus on the strengths of the deck. I've already shared with you the cards that I really like and some of the ones that feel kind of meh to me. Okay. And then you can let me know if it reads for you in the same way, or if there is a particular kind of reading where this deck really, really shines. Okay. Interesting. So Superlunaris chooses the moon card, a card that is acknowledged in the name of the deck. So perhaps the watery energy moving through the subconscious, challenges, patterns, shadow. And because this is such a light colored deck, the sky is so illuminated, I feel like this will also work with the perhaps the hopefulness of the deck. There is a great deal of this is so interesting. What is interesting? Okay, so the coins are arranged in the shape of the tree of life, right? And the creators have chosen an Indian family to be in that card. So here is an example of a bit of a dichotomy for me, like something that just it doesn't fit together. Does that mean that you have to have white people on a 10 of pentacles when you have a Kabbalistic symbol on the card? Don't know. I'm just riffing here. So if I've offended somebody, go ahead and say something. Okay, so what is this? 10 of Pentacles. We are in a suit of major integration, change. Perhaps this is just simply reinforcing that this is going to be a good deck to work with change, to work with the tens, to work with things coming to the surface. And then we have, what did you say? This is your favorite card. So these two cards feel connected to each other. I'm just a little bit confused about the card on the left. There is a sense of multi-generational happiness, connection with the family. We don't see the father of the children. I'm just a little bit confused. But perhaps its strength is in its title, and is it in its and I think too the colors. I think the colors of the deck are going to help in working with it. I can see using this deck in smaller spreads as opposed to larger spreads. For me, because of the lack of continuity in the theme of the deck, I wouldn't want to have 9, 10 or more cards on the table. And when I'm looking at the Justice card face on, there's something here that I feel a bit more connected to than I did when I was looking at it from the side. They're holding the scales in their right hand. The sword is in the left hand. So yes, I'm going to take some time to look at the backgrounds and more of the details in the cards, and do some readings over the weekend, and just tomorrow. I'll do quite a few readings tomorrow and see how this reads for me. Let's go to. Oh, Anne has a question. Okay, I'm happy to do. Anne, I will answer your question. We'll do that. And let's just go to Donna's comment here. What I appreciate about the deck is how multicultural it is. That's why I feel it is so 21st century. RWS to me. Okay. All right. So let's go to Anne's question. And this will be the one and only reading that happens. Unless you're going to be in the Facebook group later. I'll be in the Facebook group in 15 minutes or so. All right. Anne's question. How can I move forward regarding improving my health and energy level? The healer in me wants to remind you about grounding activities, grounding practices, connecting with nature, all of that sort of stuff. Taking time to slow down. And another message that has been very frequent over the last little bit is in not only in taking time to slow down, but honoring the fact that healing itself takes time. To not be in a rush with your healing, to honor the body, to honor the process the journey of healing. All right, let's hold light and love for Anne as we look at these 3 cards. I quite like the heart in this card. I don't know what it is. It just feels. Is it graffiti on a wall? It's really beautiful. Really beautiful. So the 10 of Wands, we have the 10 of Cups, and the Hermit. So we have a 10, 10, and a 9. Okay. So let's look at these cards numerologically first. So from a positive perspective, 10s signify the wheel is turning, change is happening. There is how can I say this? The more that you are in the flow of and in the mindset of inviting change and intending healing, the more that it will happen. So flow is with you. The 10 is with you. Honoring, when I'm looking at the Hermit card here, I feel that and remember that the 9 also is a card of completion. It's a card of a third kick at the can, so to speak. You've been through a lot. And I think part of that message that's been so predominant lately is to honor all that you have done and honor all that you have been through. Sacred space for you individually. So there is a connection between these 2 cards here, and that is, it is absolutely essential to prioritize yourself, prioritize your sacred time, your healing practices, and not diminish your importance in any way, the importance of your healing in any way. The more that you elevate the importance of your healing and you let your husband, family members, co-workers know that this is indeed, without dedicating time and creating space for it, it's not going to happen. So I think that's important. Now, I know Donna offered some feedback here, and she said healing does have its own magical timetable. It does. Now, what about the card in the center? So a fulfillment of emotion. Let's look at this as the whole idea of the rainbow, all of the colors of the rainbow, the idea of what you have been moving through physically, mentally, emotionally. So the power of water can be hugely unsettling. A lot of us felt a tremendous amount of water, tsunami-like energy through the Pisces full moon recently. And so with the 10 of Cups, while this feels like, the way that it's illustrated, it's a card of happiness, I think it also acknowledges that the amount of emotion and the amount of energy itself that has risen through you. And I see the Suit of Cups as a suit of flow, right? It's a flow of energy. So I think this is confirmation that yes, things are moving through and moving on. And this feels, I see this as very optimistic, Anne, that you are definitely in the process. You are in the flow of healing. And there is a responsibility. There is a responsibility to your response. Okay, let's break these words down because words are so powerful. Your ability to respond to the healing will help with the flow of this change. And so, what I suggest you do is take these 3 cards out and to put them in a card holder or put them on your altar and just sit with them and look at the blessings of the cards. Look at what is opening, what is awakening in the cards. All of these cards have openings. They all have something that is a light that we're moving towards. So overall, very, very optimistic, and I think um, supportive of what you're going through. So your question was how, right? So how? And I think I answered that. Take time, sacred space, dedicate, let everyone know. And don't let anyone make you feel less than for taking time to heal. It's not, it's and I've heard words, people can be when people are uncomfortable with yoga practices, people are uncomfortable with breathing or, taking too much in their minds, taking too much time to heal, people can say unkind things. And so let that wash over you like water off a duck's back and fully commit to this journey of healing, and it will happen. Okay. Alrighty. So thanks for being here, and I look forward to working with this deck more. And for those of you that are watching the playback, please let me know how this deck is going for you. What's your favorite card? What's your least favorite card? And is there a particular type of reading where this deck shines best? Okay. You're very welcome, Anne. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see many of you on Friday. Namaste.